Yeah, exactly.
We're good.
Going to call the meeting of the Stormwater Authority to order. And we'll take the roll call. Ms. Jordan.
Here.
Mr. Lansing. Here. Mr. Boyer. Not here. Mr. Trable.
Here.
Mr. McCandless is here. Mr. Berger.
Here.
Ms. Smith is not here. Engineers, Mr. Gratz.
Here.
And Ms. Vogus.
Here.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, here we go. Ready? Okay. The approval of the minutes from the September meeting. Do we have a motion?
Make motion. I'll second.
Mr. Trable with the motion, Mr. Lansing with the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. Privilege of the floor, we do not have anyone. Any resolutions? No.
There's nobody online, right?
Okay.
We can't make it.
Okay. Solicitors report.
I have nothing to report.
Engineers are not here. Managers report.
I have nothing outside of the budget for tonight.
Okay, so now we're going to go to the financial report, which is the budget review. And that would be Ms. Vogus. Oh, sorry. Ms.
I'll actually do the presentation, and then any technical questions you have, Gordon will take and explain for you. So just a couple slides to go through some highlights, since obviously the spreadsheet can be a little bit overwhelming. So first off, revenues, there's no change proposed for the stormwater fees for 2023. So it's $20 per 500 square feet of impervious area. Our annual expected income, $225,083. So that is what we're basing the budget off of, that income. And again, no fee increase for 2023 proposed. Expenditures, there's a cost for Nixle, which is the notification software. We've spread that across all the funds because it can be used for notification for various things. So, stormwater, if we're expecting heavy rain and we want folks to clean out their nearest basin and be mindful of it, we can send out a notification via Nixle. So we are set live to go live with that in January of 23. So the cost for the Stormwater Authority is at $426. Professional services we've reduced down based on what we expended last year. Hanover's estimate for MS4 report preparation and that whole project, $9,000. And the professional services for meetings and review of the credit applications for the stormwater credit is $2,000. Some more expenditures, design, inspection, and permitting for the Stanley Avenue Grass Alley Storm Sewer project. Looks like $12,553, and then $50,000 is planning and design for the basin that we're going to have somewhere over by Dodson Street in the vicinity of the pool. So we're still going to have to put that in for our stormwater plan. We're looking at design and planning 2023, construction 2024. So that $50,000 is just the anticipated cost for design and planning. Repair, maintenance, and machinery equipment, $2,000. That is stormwater bags that go in the inlets. They take a beating. So we've got a couple of them that have tears in them, so we're going to have to replace those. So they're like $500 a piece. The Stanley Avenue Storm Sewer Extension project, the quote we got, which we thought was high, but we just used that number figuring we won't exceed that. The rejected bid, it was $125,000 from the one bid that we got last year. So hopefully we get more bids, hopefully a little bit more competitive, and we don't come close to that number, but we just use that for budgetary purposes. And then the Warren Street Basin Design and Construction, We don't know what's going on with that because that proposed house is bigger than the one that was factored in the subdivision plan. So they may actually need to keep that basin as part of their property to meet their stormwater requirements for the property itself. So we may not be redoing that at our cost, but if we are, it's about $40,000. So we're planning on that. Again, if we need to take that and then take the maintenance easement on that. But again, it may be part of the homeowner's development. They're going back and forth with Hanover, their developer, right now. And then we have the ARPA-funded stormwater projects. So ARPA is its own fund. Obviously, they're within the purview of the authority, but they're not coming out of the authority's budget. That's $166,000. That is for the Broadway storm sewer upgrades in conjunction with the curb and sidewalk. We're now looking at, just got an email from the contractor yesterday, we're looking at mid to end of November for start on the Broadway curb and sidewalk and stormwater. So that money is covered for that. And then the Hofford Street storm sewer extension, taking those 4 inlets at Hofford, reconstructing them and tying them back to the 60-inch stormwater main, that is estimated at $46,000. So both those will be funded by ARPA. There is some money left in there, a little bit, but I think we're in good shape with those. And that's a simple rundown. Some projects, like I said, the biggest ones are funded through the ARPA funds, so that's a good thing. But otherwise, no rate increase, and we're slowly but surely ticking away at the things we need to do for our DEP plan.
I have a question. If we are not allowed to use the Warren Street basin, are we gonna have to do something somewhere else?
So that is a good question, and what we may be able to do is, if the homeowner has to use that as part of their project there, they can still have we can still claim the stormwater dumping in, because that's where it dumps in from the top of Warren Street, the cul-de-sac. We just may not be able to take ownership of it via the maintenance easement. It may have to retain with the property owner, and then they would be responsible for it. That's what's going round and round with Hanover right now.
Well, we will get credit for it.
Yes, yeah, one way or another, we're gonna get credit for it. That all has to be worked out through the engineers, and then it'll fall into Mr. Berger's lap for the legalese. Yeah, the biggest thing we need to do that we are not underway with yet for our compliance plan is whatever we decide to do over on Dodson Street in the area of the park. That is going to need to happen for that side. So that'll be the big planning and design and discussions for this year. And again, that's why we have the $50,000 in for that.
And we're gonna have to put a basin up there.
Yeah, somewhere, whether it's on the plateau above the pool, whether it's adjacent to the pool, there's various options, but that's why we need to start looking at that and plan for it so we can do construction in 2024 to be compliant with our plan.
That wouldn't be up there where we put the tree the last time, then it's just down from it.
Yeah, it'd be between the houses that we're demolishing and the pool. So that first hill, that plateau there, where they were talking about the garden last night, that may potentially end up being the most suitable site for the stormwater basin.
Now, okay, would that be in the stormwater basin? That could also work into what you were talking, just asking about, Henry, with the plants and all in that area? You could, we were talking.
Oh, you mean making a passive walk?
Yeah.
The nature of
Passive
trail?
nature trail and all that up in there with that, and so it's not just a basin sticking out or showing or whatever.
Right.
That was, we had discussed that.
Right,
I remember we had
right.
discussed that before.
How big would a basin, I mean, I'm trying to envision it, how big it would have to be to meet this.
I don't know that we've even calculated an actual amount, but it's not going to be as small as the one on Warren Street. But I think that plateau up there, that footprint would easily accommodate it. And then also this year we're taking down one of the houses, and then our plan is, 2023 we're taking down one of the houses. 2024 would be to take down the other house and then to construct a pole building for storage up there for park equipment. And then, obviously along with that design, you're gonna have more open space up there that we can incorporate and piggyback on some type of creative use for that. So you gussy it up that it doesn't just look like we have a fenced off
Right.
pond in there.
Right.
Good question. When you construct a pole building, are you gonna allow, because right now our fire department stores a lot of stuff in those buildings up there. Are you gonna allow-
That's what we're working towards. And honestly, they need a little house cleaning. So there's some of the stuff needs to go. But yes, that is the point of. I mean, we have stuff stored up there as well. So that's why before we demolish the second house, we would have to construct a pole building. So. But again, that'll all factor into, I think, once we have a better idea of where we're going with this pond, and then coming up with like a creative master plan along with that. But I think we still are working through what the actual capacity of that needs to be in order to comply with the B&P plan.
Because we're really limited in our choices of where to put it.
Correct.
Now, we were talking about that area, but now like, a couple years ago, when you have a really bad storm and you go down Bishop Ward Street, I seen it already when it was like going like a river. Now, on that map that we had, that, Mrs. Smith, gave us, and it didn't show any storm sewer on, Bishop Ward Street. Are we ever gonna be doing anything with that? Cause that flows right down into Broadway, and that's probably the lowest point in Broadway down here.
Yeah, and I believe those inlets are slated to be reconstructed as part of the Broadway upgrade. So, because that would be within the scope of the project. So it's going to get new inlet boxes there. So a lot of that infrastructure is just outdated. So, some of the piping is going to remain, but the inlets themselves are going to be upgraded.
Is anything gonna be like, the pipes are gonna be freeze or anything like that?
Without looking at that project's approved, there are some that have to, but some of them are going to remain. But I don't think it's necessarily a pipe capacity issue as much as it's a inlet design issue. A lot of them are those slit inlets that are underneath the curb, and the new style obviously would be a box inlet. But otherwise, I mean, most of the budget is consistent with what we saw last year. We're working towards, obviously, we're collecting this fee for the benefit of improving stormwater in the borough, so we're slowly but surely working through projects to make that happen. And then once we upgrade the existing infrastructure, the hope would be to do like we're doing with Hofford Street, where we start trying to tie things back into the stormwater main. But again, we're limited. Folks had asked us when we were up on Moravia Street doing the paving, why aren't you putting in the stormwater? But there's nothing up there to tie it into. And we just can't put the inlets in, and we'd have to trench a pipe all the way down to Broadway, and it's just, that's an infrastructure project that we certainly don't have the means to undertake right now.
No, that would be a future project that we'd have to look at, because that would be quite a large scale attack to do that.
I think the logical thing would be to look at, the low point being Broadway, and that tying all of those into the stormwater main that runs out front here, and then working out from Broadway to try and get to some of those other areas that are problem areas, and capture stormwater there as well.
Well, we're dealing with some of it with Bergen and Hofford,
Yeah.
two of those.
Yeah.
That's a start.
Yeah.
Because those are I think the worst, on Broadway anyway, when you watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our hope would be is if we get we apply and get the MTF grant to do the second phase, the remainder of Broadway, we would do the same thing. Is we would look at doing stormwater improvements at least along the entire Broadway corridor in the borough here, and go from there.
Yeah, the other one would be the picture we have up here on questions. That's at Cool and Cherokee.
Yep.
That would be the other one that would definitely need to be looked at, because that's got one of those slits in there and that thing's forever.
Yeah, and that's it. It's just
But there's so much coming from Hofford and everything else into there, because it's hitting Maine, and it just.
Yeah, I mean, sadly for the purposes of stormwater management, Fountain Hill is aptly named. It's two hills, and it hits a low point here, and it's just when it rains,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
it pours.
Yeah, but I mean, these are all things that we have to look at. These are going to be our future projects that we're going to have to be looking at and concern ourselves with and budgeting for. Moravia is definitely a problem. Coming down Dotson, what we're talking about Dotson, with what we can do there. We have the one over here at Cool. We're working on Hofford and Bergen, and so we've got something started. We've just got to get them rolling
Even
along a little better.
South Linsdale
South Lynn is no picnic either, but it's definitely better than some of the others.
Definitely, yeah.
But, I mean, that's another one that's gonna have to be looked at some point, but, with us getting these projects going and started, I think this is where people are gonna see that it's not, as everybody thought and said, oh, it's just another tax in the borough. It's not just another tax, there are things actually being done that,
I think people are beginning to understand the concept of stormwater authority.
I do too, but I think, when they start seeing some of these things happening,
Right.
it's gonna make a whole lot more sense to everybody, so, that we're gonna be going through these, and we'll have to watch budgets in the future, because it's gonna get more interesting to get all this stuff done, because we're gonna need to keep moving forward with it.
Now, if we're gonna tie in the Broadway, are we gonna have to increase the main under Broadway? I mean, that you're gonna have to dig it up or?
Well, Broadway everything ties back to the 60-inch pipe that runs through the borough. It starts up from the pool, and then comes down, actually traverses through a backyard off Seneca, and then comes down Long Street to right in front of Borough Hall here, goes on a diagonal across, and then down to Broadway that way. So that would be that's the main flow of stormwater. That would be like, if you think about like a sewer interceptor for sanitary sewer, that's what that is, like a stormwater interceptor. And then everything dumps into that, like that's the main transmission line out to the outfalls. So we would be working to bring everything back to that. So if you tie in the Broadway, but Broadway is ultimately dumping into that pipe, and then when you have those, 100-year storms that fill the capacity of a 60-inch pipe, there's nowhere for it to go. It's going to back up everywhere, and you just can't.
But that's what I mean, are we gonna have to increase that pipe?
I don't know that we can at this point, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, it's in people's backyards, and I mean, I think 60-inch, it's like a 60-inch concrete squish pipe. I mean, that's a pretty consistent size for what is required here, and that's why it was engineered and put in. So I don't foresee that ever being done, at least in our time here. I think there's going to be other improvements that'll come along with technology and whatnot that we can avoid actually reconstructing a line that runs the entire length of the borough.
Well, I think the other part of it was too is, if I'm not mistaken, the engineering, they were talking that because we connect to this down into the city's part, that theirs is only gonna be, ever be able to be so large also for it, so the 60 inch is like the maximum you can run.
Yeah, that's pretty, and again, that's pretty standard, but yes, that is true. I mean, to get to our outfall, we tie in, the main ties into City of Bethlehem, so unless they're upgrading their system as well,
Right,
you're kind of limited there.
right. Okay, any other questions on the budget?
So we can, if everyone's happy with it, we can make a motion tonight to accept the budget, and then then we would not need to come back in December again. Or if you want more time to review it, we also could make that, do the adoption like we did last year electronically, because the preliminary budget has been presented tonight. So it's up to you. If everybody's comfortable, we can do it tonight and just get it over with. Or if you want more time to review, we can reconvene later for that.
I just have one question for Ms. Vogus. On the administration side, for our office supplies, our bank services, postage, all that kind of stuff, don't you feel very comfortable with those numbers?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because of the way costs are going, I know stamps are gonna be, increasing, I know they're gonna be increasing the bulk rates and all of that. I just wanna make sure that you're very, very much so comfortable on that, because some of them kind of seem like, I don't know, I'm still worried about the postage only being at $1,200. I mean, I see we didn't use it, but with the way they're proposing, I'm just kind of a little concerned there on that one especially, and I know cost of supplies, paper, things like that, they're increasing very.
The benefit we have is we're buying in bulk, so you're just getting allocated the little stormwater portion of it. But like when we order paper, we order for the entire borough, and then you figure out how much is used for stormwater.
I understand, but like I said, I just want to make sure she's very comfortable with that because of the way costs are going. I don't want to see it come, being even hitting the borough itself, let alone stormwater. It's going to hit all of us all the way through. But I just want to make sure that with her doing the budgeting and doing that, taking care of these
expenditures, and I just added as a note to it, as of 11/4, we spent like $950 on postage. That's the main thing that would hit us. Everything else is really not. But so then, considering that, I think we'll be sufficiently budgeting $1,200 for postage.
Okay, like I said, I just wanted to make sure, just because of, I know they said all the postage is going up again, and I saw that number, and I was like, okay, that might, I was almost gonna suggest to just kind of let it at what 2022 was, and because of the increase, that's where I was gonna go with that, just instead of 1,200, leave it at 1,400 for just to, even though we're at 951 right now, I'm still not so sure because of the way they're talking with postage. I'm just kind of a little concerned. I don't want to waste money, but if we don't use it, it's there. But I would feel a little bit more comfortable with that just because of the way the postage costs are going right now.
Well, I do not have a problem to leave it at the 1,400 level of 22. So, if you feel a lot more comfortable with that number, I will adjust that.
Yeah, personally, I do. I mean, I'd like to hear what everyone else what everyone else feels on that, but I just kind of feel comfortable with that.
She's comfortable with that.
Yeah, like I said, if we've got the money and if we don't use it, it stays in the account.
Well, exactly, but that's why I said, just for the purpose, I would like, this way we have it set there, everyone else.
It's not a problem.
No,
It's there,
No, it's not a problem, so, do I need to do a motion or anything?
No, we just,
just fix it.
So that would just,
Okay.
she'll amend it, so then the motion would be to adopt the budget with that, as amended.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? No, okay. Do we then, I guess we will move, do we have a motion to adopt the budget with the change of the postage to make sure we're covered?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? None. So then we will adopt the budget with the change in postage as read. Okay, we're all good?
I don't think we have any other business.
Anything on new business? With anybody? Ms. Vogus, you're all good?
All good?
Everyone else? Okay. How about a motion to adjourn then?
Make the motion.
Mr. Trable on the motion. Mr. Lansing second. All those in favor? Aye. And Mr. Gratz can get out of here so he stops coughing.
I forgot she said next week we get RSV.
Yeah. I think my response.
Your RSV backed up today?